So, I'm over here working, late at night doing my NASCAR stuff and everything. And usually I listen to a podcast or a video in the background as I work and stuff like that. And I'm going through Amp Lemon's other channel, Downward Diary, kind of catching up just because I haven't watched it in forever and stuff. And I came across his video, My Shattered Hopes and Dreams, a NASCAR story. And I have never found a video or an accurate description of the exact way I felt about Star Wars as this video, and it's linked in the description below if you haven't listened to it. I think you totally should. I think it's a fantastic ramble and rant about Star Wars, but like listening to it, re-feeling everything that I felt when I abandoned Star Wars and stuff, just made me want to do this and just talk about it. Because it's been years since the Rise of Skywalker and the Last Jedi and everything happened and stuff, and so very quickly going back in my Star Wars story. Also, like, I'd love to make a longer video with production. Like any more time spent on this than just other than just hear me ranting right now, would be a waste of my time. So when we look at Star Wars, or when I look at Star Wars, I was born in '98. So the Phantom Menace comes out in '99. I'm like 1 years old, or 1 year old. I'm not aware of what Star Wars is until I'm like 3, 4, 5 and stuff. And I don't necessarily even remember if I was paying attention to what Star Wars was when Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005. However, despite the fact I was a steamed vegetable and struggled heavily in school and learning and stuff like that, I distinctly remember that I learned to read truly on all the Star Wars books, on all the stuff that has become, Star Wars Legends, or didn't. There are things that don't, aren't canon anymore. Whether it be stories for kids, like babies, little infants learning to read, or like choose your own adventure novels in stories that happen after Return of the Jedi, whatever the case may be. Books like The Rise of Vader, or like tie-in novel books that took place in between, movies, whether it was the one before The Phantom Menace, can't recall it right now, but it talks about Palpatine and literally everything leading up to The Phantom Menace. The Rise of Vader takes place right before Revenge of the Sith, filling in gaps. The OG Clone Wars series, everything like that. I remember using that as like a true building block of my education. Okay, when I was a child, at this point, I didn't care about racing. I would watch the Daytona 500 or whatever with my family and stuff, but I remember like not being interested past like those weekends and stuff, and I certainly didn't pay attention to a lot of the Truck series or Bush series and all that until I was probably in my teens and stuff. But I remember absolutely loving Star Wars, falling in love with it, using it as a building block for my education, and watching the movies. And I remember as like an 8 year old or a 9 year old, getting all the six movies and stuff and watch them and everything. And I remember crying at the end of Return of the Jedi, when I watched it for the first time. And I remember my mom and my grandma like being behind me, in whatever room we were watching. I started crying because I was like, "It's over," There's nothing more past this. I couldn't see anything that was like that I enjoyed more. Um, kind of side note here of like, I look, maybe it's because I was a kid when I first watched them and stuff, but as I've rewatched them, and certainly as like you read the books, which like anytime you got to say like, oh, just read the books, it's the series are awesome. I like the prequels straight up, like in terms of what era in Star Wars make fantastic movies, the Old Republic, the prequel era, and everything right up until Return of the Jedi, like both of them, or all three of those timelines are awesome, but I specifically like the prequels and 10, 20, 30 years before the Phantom Menace. I just think that whole era is amazing and full with lore, and I pray to God that Disney and EA and whatever company wants to make games, I pray to God they never touch the Old Republic timeline, because they will absolutely destroy that, just like as they've done everything else. Just thank God they're destroying everything like past uh, Return of the Jedi and making all the expanded universe stuff like, non-canon, like past in that direction. Thank God they're not touching anything before. But in terms of the reason I'm making this video is listening to Emp talk about his reaction and how he felt related to Star Wars and stuff was very similar to how I felt with this new stuff. I remember seeing the first of the new movies, of the new Disney movies, and I distinctly remember in the first one, because I went with my friend Miguel, who was like and he still is, he's a big Star Wars guy. And I remember watching it and feeling rather odd and weird in the beginning of like, man, one, this movie's kind of slow, kind of boring. Also, I want to reiterate that I have not watched the 3 films since I first viewed them. I have no interest in rewatching them. I watch reviews and stuff on them, but I will never sit down and waste my fucking afternoon rewatching these Disney films. But I remember specifically like, man, this kind of sucks. So everything that took place in Revenge of the Jedi, all the sacrifices, all the impact stuff that happened in The Empire Strikes Back, everything that happened didn't even matter. They just like washed it away. Everything that Lucas did literally doesn't matter. We're back at square one. Why does the Rebel Alliance no longer exist? What the hell's going on here? Why are we back to like, what the fuck is Snoke? What is all this stuff? And we get through the film, and it's fun and quirky and everything. And anyway, we get to the end. Snoke is dead. It just feels like a fucking waste of a movie. And I remember sitting next to Miguel, after the movie, or after going eat and stuff, and he's like, "Man, that was a really good film." And I was like, I guess it's cool to watch a movie that has like the traditional opening that the Star Wars movies had, because I had seen like the Clone Wars in theaters as like my first in theater Star Wars movie, and of course like they didn't use like the title scrolling everything in the animated feature. And just I remember I was like, man, this movie was kind of lame. I feel like it's got a bad taste in my mouth, and not because Han died at the end. Like, I knew Harrison Ford didn't want to be a part of this past this. Entertainment Tonight and all those other things that kind of leaked that, like, hey, Han dies, like, Harrison Ford is not a part of the other films. He doesn't want to be a part of it. I didn't give a shit, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just see what happens. It wasn't the return that I thought it was, but looking back now, that was probably the happiest I was ever going to be with Disney's takeover. And so, years later, I guess like 2017 or 2016, whenever The Last Jedi comes out, this is the first ever film that I had ever bought first screening tickets to. Bought them way in advance. Yet again, I went with Miguel, and he had a group of friends that all kind of like Star Wars, and some of them I knew, some of them I didn't. Some of them I'd play paintball with and stuff. And we go there, and like, we're in like the big theater in El Paso, the big, like mall theater. And there's just a huge line. I mean, there's hundreds of people wanting to go see Star Wars opening night. And this is like, not midnight release, but it was like the first showing, like, release day is whatever day it is. These were like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. screenings that'll just start for 24 hours showing this film. And huge line, people are like literally asking to buy the ticket from us to see it first. Like that big. Everybody's dressed up. They got Star Wars troopers walking around the theater, walking around the mall. People are taking pictures. People have dressed up in cosplay. And, we have our seats, and I go in there, and I'm like, well, I had no idea what I was getting into. I felt like I was just like drafted for war. And I'm like that new guy of like, we look like Band of Brothers or whatever. And, some dude gets dropped in, deep in Normandy in like 44. He wasn't a part of D-Day. He's just like showing up being like, man, I want to see some action, guys. And, He's just ignorant of what he's going to come across. And we watched the film, and the beginning, like the whole bomber scene was, okay, all right, we're introduced to this new character, whatever. We're basically just, we're playing like keep away from the New Order to the New Rebels and stuff. I don't even remember exactly what part the casino scenes are in. We're just going to act like that doesn't even exist. We're just placing this over there. That was a huge waste of time. The three major points in the film that, yet again, kind of the reason I'm making this because Imp talked about one of them with Leia and stuff, and how they killed Admiral Akbar. And I'm not saying this in a sense of, oh my god, they killed the character, what are they doing? Look, my favorite films are films where, like, everybody dies in, okay? Like, I love Reservoir Dogs. I love The Thing. My, like, goofy, like, movie that I just love beyond belief is Wanted. Literally everybody dies other than Wesley in that. Like, I really, really love films that everybody dies in. That's just me. If everybody dies in them, I'm going to like them. Or if they don't, if they set up to where, a true sequel isn't being able to happen, I love them. And so the fact that, like, Akbar dies doesn't matter. They Boba Fett him, like, whatever, But the fact that, like, Leia comes back to life, flies through space to, like, that is ridiculous. And so I remember that exact point in the theater being like, fuck, what the hell is this? What is this? Like, that is my exact feeling. And, like, sirens are going off in my head that, like, dude, things are wrong, man. Shit's fucked. Like, stuff is not going well at all. And so anyway, we continue. And then we get to the Hondo maneuver. And not only am I already, and some people might be like, man, dude, you take Star Wars too seriously. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And yet again, M kind of talks about this. That's where, if you weren't a true blue Motley Crue, like, Star Wars fan, I don't think you can get it. He brings it up, but I'll kind of reiterate what he says. Like, if you were a fan of any other film series, Harry Potter, Marvel, especially at this time where, like, either Endgame and all that either had just come out or it was about to come out, like, Marvel was at, like, the pinnacle that it'll ever be. Like, past that's gone downhill. Like, that's just soaring. Harry Potter had just finished up years prior. You had Twilight, which, like, isn't, like, an Academy Award winning film, but, like, people who love the Twilight movies and the books, or rather enjoyed the books, were very satisfied with the films. There was, like, no, like, hell, dude, bro, watch the first Twilight. That shit's funny as fuck. Like, it's a great film. It's, like, dumb as shit, but, like, you can enjoy that. And if you weren't a Star Wars fan, like, true blue, virgin, ain't talking to any women, like, Star Wars fan, I don't think you can feel how disappointing, contradicting, and, like, lore-breaking The Last Jedi was to everything, to the foundation, shook the foundation of Star Wars to its core. Which is just fucking wild. I cannot believe Disney was able to do that. And anytime, like, I'm completely with anybody who didn't like The Last Jedi, and not because it's like, oh, well, this is the, a lot of people didn't like Empire Strikes Back when that came out. Disliking stuff because, oh, man, they froze my favorite character, Han Solo. Oh, man, like, I'm not a fan of that. That is completely different from me. Like, this is a terrible, lore-breaking film, shaking the foundation of everything apart. And that's what The Last Jedi did. We haven't even got to Luke yet. We haven't even gotten to Luke. I mean, we know, what Luke is doing, which is just dumb as hell, destroying the character of Luke Skywalker. But I haven't even talked about that. I'm literally just talking about Leia and the Hondo maneuver and its destroying of any lore that Star Wars had. Like, anything you knew before was just thrown out the window. And then it's like, what are they doing in the fucking Clone Wars? What do you mean? The Death Star? Dude, Palpatine, these guys are idiots. Why are you building the Death Star? Why are you doing any of this stuff? And, so that happens. And, then we get out to Luke and, not that I wanted Luke to, be fighting and shit, but I just didn't like what they did with Luke. I think they completely destroyed his character. Rey is, what is the term? Mary Sue and stuff. Her progression is not only are we breaking lore with everything else going on, we got her as being, literally the second coming of Jesus in Star Wars. Just more powerful. I'd like Yoda to be having a stroke. Yoda and Mace Windu, all these fellas would be having a stroke. Dude, this is the most amazing Jedi we've ever seen in our lives. And so you just had all that stuff going on. And so the film ends, right? And I remember the film ends, the credits start to roll. I'm with a group. We're on row 4. Big screen right in front of us. There's maybe 8 or 9 of us there. As soon as the lights come on, bro, I'm up out of my seat. I don't walk out of movies because I paid my money to be here. But I'm walking out. I'm not wasting any more time in the theater. I'm not hanging out. I'm not talking about this thing. I was furious, pissed off. I'd be like, dude, you took Star Wars way too seriously. Which man, thank God I'm free of that worry now. But I get up, and I remember imagine this thought. Maybe I can get Miguel on here or something. Maybe, he could provide context. This is 100% true. I swear to God this is true. I am the first person out of the theater. The first person out of the theater who had just seen Return of the Jedi. I was about to say Return of the Jedi. The Last Jedi. And there wasn't press there. But, people are, they've got all the employees who are in Stormtrooper outfits and stuff, there to greet you because you had just seen the Star Wars film. And they're handing out posters and stuff related to this film because you were the first people to see it. You had gotten special tickets, blah, 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 blah. I come out of this theater, I throw my soda in, the trash right before you come out of the double doors. I come out of the double doors to, the greeting, a surprise party. Okay, between all the people in cosplay, I look to the right. There's an entire line through, the hall that the theater is in, into the lobby of the theater, outside the lobby of the theater, into the mall of, the people in line to see the next showing. Hundreds of people. And I come out, and they give me a poster, right? And, or it's a lithograph or whatever it was. I don't think it was metal. But, it was a super thick, pretty nice, pretty good, pretty nice poster and stuff. And I come out and everybody in the line is kind of going crazy, oh dude, what is it like, dude? Did you like it? What happened? Everybody's oh dude, you're out. How was it? Yada yada yada. And I remember, I look at the poster as I'm walking through this stuff. I have the 1,000-yard stare looking at the poster walking. And some guy is dude, can I have the poster, please? They only have 100 of those. Those are only the first people who come out. And I looked at him. I looked at the poster. I grab the poster. I twist it, right? I tear it in half. And I said, this poor bastard. I throw it at him, or put it on the ground behind him, and I'm here's your poster, man. And dude, I fucking swear to God, I could have gotten stabbed. I could have gotten killed. We hear wild road rage accident stories now. Dude, I could have died this night. I literally could have died in December 2019 because of this. So after I throw the paper down, I'm probably maybe 10 or 11 people down this row of 100 plus losing their absolute minds. And somebody sees me do that and then just said, what happened? How was the film? And I don't remember my exact words, but I basically blurred out, dude, the film fucking sucks. Luke Skywalker is destroyed. His character is terrible. He turns into a Force ghost at the end. We waste half the time in a casino. Leia fake dies and then really dies, or maybe not really. I don't think she died in this film, but I remember saying something she fake dies and then she flies back into I spoil everything as I'm walking down the line, okay? And it goes from cheering to, dude, I wish I would have had a camera. I wish I would have been filmed. I wish somebody would have captured this on film. Because the cheers in that line when I came out turned into like literal death threats. It went from, dude, you saw the film, what is it like? Yo, man, is it good as it get? To fuck you, you piece of shit. Go fucking kill yourself, you piece of shit, you spoiling fuck. Like, it was so bad. I got called so many slurs and so many names. I mean, it was an all-time Modern Warfare 2 lobby, right? That was, I will never forget that. That is one of the greatest things I've ever done. And the fact that I wasn't punched, stabbed, maimed, injured at all is incredible. So, you know, I spoiled the entire film for people who are waiting in line for hours, who've spent money to get here, who have dressed up. And that's how pissed I was. I left so fast. Miguel texted me as I'm like heading towards the parking lot to get into my car. Like, hey, yo, dude, where'd you go? Where do you want to eat for dinner? I'm like, dude, I'm fucking going home, man. Like, dude, I am not in the mood. I don't want to go eat. I'm not doing any of that. And and I paused because I was coughing. And like, dude, that was my hate. Everything about that movie killed me as a fan. And going back to the main reason why I'm talking about, I haven't talked about The Rise of Skywalker. This film actively made me, Last Jedi, rather, actively made me want to disassociate myself with the brand. It made me want to disengage with the brand in any form, in any way, and certainly in any fashion of the expanded universe that Disney has. For me personally, like, I like the Clone Wars. Dave Filoni, give or take, I don't think he's like Space Jesus or whatever, but he's been the only bright side to Star Wars, and even then we have some issues. I have not watched The Mandalorian. I have not watched Endor. Just why, dude, why? I want to watch The Bad Batch. I'll watch Mandalorian at some point, but my plan for both of those is to wait for both those series to be done. And then I can just binge them in like 2 days at some point. There's no reason for me to dive in now. Obi-Wan. I watched Obi-Wan because McGregor was coming back. Or I think it's McGregor. Just went blank here. And I was like, dude, this shit is fucking horrible, man. What the fuck are they doing to Luke, man? Not Luke. What are they doing to Obi-Wan? This is ruining Obi-Wan's character now too. Why are we destroying every character? You know, the Red Letter Media meme of what's it like to see your favorite franchises go down in flames, and then the other guy's laughing. It's like, I love it. Like, that's literally what it felt like. Anytime I've re-engaged with Star Wars following The Last Jedi, I have never gotten that taste out of my mouth. I have never wanted to re-engage with this brand, and it's so crazy that such a core thing growing up through my childhood, up until seeing the Disney movies, like, I have no interest in. It's like when even something small as let's see really fast. So like, I'm gonna have to use this one here. We'll take off True DFS for that. When I look at like my Steam library really quick, of all the Star Wars, first off, I have a lot of games on here because I'm a gamer and stuff. I'm a gamer. Look at my Mass Effect stuff and my Gears of War stuff over there. All these Star Wars games that I have, I enjoy. They were a core part of my childhood. I have never played The Force Unleashed 2. I have never played Jedi Fallen Order. Everything else I've tried, you know? Like when I look here, acquired, never played it. Never ever played it. Played the Old Republic games back then, played all the Jedi Knight stuff back then when I was a kid. I loved this stuff. I loved Republic Commando. I loved, you know, the OG Battlefront stuff. The fact that, like, I disliked Jedi, or the Last Jedi so much I did not re-engage with the Battlefront games when EA took them over. Didn't play it. I've never bought them. I've just played them on the free, and even on the on like the free weekends. And even when I would play those, I just couldn't enjoy them. It left such a horrific taste in my mouth that I got this for free from a friend who knew I enjoyed Star Wars, and I've never played it. Could be a fantastic game. I have, like, it's wild to me that one single movie, this single iota of a film, has destroyed my interest in an entire brand. We haven't even gotten to the Rise of Skywalker. This is all about The Last Jedi. Okay? So I come around, we're past COVID and stuff. I have no interest in watching the Rise of Skywalker, or whatever it's called. And it's been out for a while, and I specifically wait until it's been out for like a month, 2 months, or whatever, and I go see it by myself. I'm in Lubbock by this point. I tell my girlfriend at the time, like, I'm just going to watch this Star Wars film. Like, I'll be back. I'm going to take like 2 hours this afternoon, go watch it, I'll come back. And I remember I was literally the only person in the theater watching it, and it wasn't better. In my humble, because yet again, I've only seen these 3 movies one time, I don't hate The Rise of Skywalker as bad as it is, and as bad as I hate The Last Jedi, only due to the fact that I fully believe I enjoyed The Rise of Skywalker more as a meme movie with its direction, story, everything that took place, and because it was over. Because this was it. This was the end of the trilogy. There was nothing more Disney could do. I mean, now they're pumping out, like Obi-Wan came out and stuff like that. But at the time, there was nothing more that they could do. There was nowhere to go. You know, in order to make new films, they'd have to, like, start a new trilogy. And I know that's bad. I won't engage in that. This is over. This trilogy is done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. You know, somehow Palpatine returned, and somehow this is over. This trilogy's over. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And so, like, The Rise of Skywalker is a terrible film. It's written horribly. It uses so many characters in such bad ways. And for the life of me, I can't find a true reason to hate it as much as The Last Jedi, because it's over. It was the end of the trilogy. Horrible movies. Horrible execution from Disney. Horribly mismanaged IP. So many questions, so many bad decisions. This whole trilogy was just bad decisions on top of bad decisions on top of bad decisions. And it's baffling. It's wildly. I can't even comprehend how we got to this point. Dude, Star Wars sucks now. And it's gotten so bad that when I meet new people that say they like Star Wars, specifically people who weren't necessarily fans growing up, but they like Disney, I judge them. I know I shouldn't, but god damn it, in my head, I'm like, man, you're an idiot. Do you not know what movies are? And I'm not even I'm not here to criticize. I'm not here to, like, be a critic of movies or, like, say that, you know, I don't need a movie to be Citizen Kane. Okay? I can watch dumb shit like American Psycho and be entertained. Like, I don't need these to be, you know, Quentin Tarantino films. I don't need him to direct a film to make it good. But, bro, you like Star Wars now? What? Dude. It has ruined Disney's execution of these films. Of these 3 films specifically. 7, 8, and 9 ruined me as a Star Wars fan. I have no interest in the brand. I have no interest in this at all. It's just ruined it for me. And I cannot believe that there are so many decisions made to cause this. Anyway, going back to the video that Eminem made, and why I'm making this video, is that I felt the exact same way that he did. And I have never seen a video capture the disappointment, the upset, the anger, the shattered world that his video captured. And I just wanted to like talk about it and rant, because I sat here for half an hour ranting about giving the too long didn't read version of my entire interest in Star Wars. Yeah, if you've been here and you liked it, what do you think? It's been years. It's been like 5 years since the trilogy ended. 7 years since The Last Jedi. What did you think about it? What was your opinion on it? Rant in the comments. Let it all out. I'll be your therapy. Just type away into the internet, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching. I'll see you another time. Bye.